In April of 2024, I witnessed some sights I'll not forget in a hurry. In the latter part of 2023, my father-in-law asked me if I'd like to go whale watching in the Azores. I didn't need much encouragement. My fascination with all things nature has been a long time interest, since watching programs about the natural world with my father when I was very young. I've been to Africa, to the savannas of Kenya, and marvelled at the sorts of creatures I'd only ever seen on screen, and the feeling it left me with is more than just a memory. Hard to describe, but for a council house boy from the southeast of England, I remember how unlikely it had seemed back then. Having seen what's known as the Big Five, being offered a chance to see whales somewhat up close was a big tick on my imagined bucket list. In reality, I don't have an actual bucket list, but if I had, well, it would be on it. What I didn't realise is that there are other things which the Azores are famous for, and I was about to find out what some of them are. I really can't thank him enough for asking me. There's a degree of uncertainty about the history of the discovery of the Azores, one of the autonomous regions of Portugal, the other of which is Madeira. It's a 9-island volcanic archipelago in the part of the North Atlantic known as Macaronesia, and is some 870 miles west of Lisbon. Variously, a Fleming by the name of Joshua van der Berg from Bruges, along with a Captain Gonçalo Velho, Portuguese, have been cited as making early landfall there, but documentation to support these is sparse and unreliable. What is known is that between 1433 and 1436, Gonçalo Velho Cabral gathered resources and settlers and established the colonies on Santa Maria and São Miguel. The unoccupied islands saw settlers from Algarve and Alentejo around 1439 onward. Today, the dialects, cuisine and culture between islands vary considerably, perhaps for this reason. It's worth noting that volcanic Mount Pico, on the island of Pico, is the highest point in Portugal. If measured from their base at the bottom of the ocean, the Azores are some of the tallest mountains on the planet. The flag of the Azores features an Azor, or goshawk, from which the islands may have got their name, but there's no evidence that this bird has ever nested on the island. Our journey took us 1,579 miles to the island of São Miguel and the largest city of the Azores, Ponta Delgada. The industries on the island are agriculture, dairy farming, livestock and fishing, but the city's main industry is tourism. Accommodation in the city ranges from very basic to extravagantly luxurious, and this is an example of the latter. More modest, perhaps, but not too shabby. We stayed at the Hotel Marina Atlantico, with great sea views and booking offices for excursions right across the road. Perfect. A busy port for cruise ships, cargo and fishing vessels, along with a sizable marina, there's plenty to see for those with an interest in maritime goings-on. The city itself has plenty of places to visit, not least of which are the curated gardens and arboretums, along with periodic festivals of art and music at various times of the year. There are some interesting bars frequented by the locals which are worth a visit, and whose food, though sometimes basic, is very tasty and made all the more pleasant by the affable regulars. Despite their northerly location, the Azores benefit from the Gulf Stream, meaning the climate is more temperate than you might expect. We were even able to make use of the port's sea pool whilst we were there. That wasn't the case every day, though. São Miguel has several pineapple plantations, some of which offer tours. For our part, we came away with the idea that if it had not been a feature of a larger excursion, we would not have paid for it as a standalone trip. As it was, we visited one of the facilities close to Ponta Delgada on the way back from visiting other parts of the island. A good choice. Something I feel sure we would both recommend is a visit to Furnas and the volcanic springs and geysers. There are times you're able to attend and have food cooked over the hot vents. There are warm flowing streams, hot stream outlets, and even a spring releasing naturally carbonated water. Some people drink from this daily, believing it has life-prolonging qualities. I imagine the walk up the hill keeps them fit in any event. Speaking of hills, volcanic islands are seldom flat, and you don't have to go far to see igneous formations which are both imposing and impressive in equal measure. Whether it be sea arch formations or cliff faces rising from amongst forestry, there's a wealth of wow factor to these landscapes. These are some sights from Termas de Ferraria, where there is also an underwater hot spring which empties into a basin right by the coast. Say something intelligent about this.
Que por el verso Carbaro.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, wunderbar for the bar.
Yeah. Whoosh.
Coming around from the steam baths, around to, oh bloody hell, it's a floating whale with a smile on his face. It's like swimming in a bath full of salted caramel. And it's absolutely wonderful. It's about 40 degrees, I would guess, this water. Doesn't look very inviting, but it really is lovely. I could recommend it.
After the baths, we went into Furnas itself to have a meal which was part of the excursion package. I have to say the meals on the excursions were really good, buffet style selections of local fare. After that, we were lucky enough to get treated to a wedding procession, complete with slow marching band. Really nice to watch. To the north of the island is the Goriana tea plantation and factory. Originally established in 1883, this is a significant piece of tea history. One of only two surviving tea factories, the other is Porto Formosa, which has been turned into a museum. They are the only ones left in Europe. It's around 30 minutes drive from Ponta Delgada, and the north coast views are breathtaking. The tour itself is free, and the factory relies on its production and the on-site cafe and gift shop selling teas, obviously, local pottery and souvenirs. The expose manages to conjure the past, and the period machinery is remarkable. There was a free tasting at the end of some of the speciality blends they produce, with an explanation of why some teas are so sought after and have such high prices. The architecture on the island displays all the Portuguese influences you'd expect, and is ornate and filigreed with some striking colours in places. As on the mainland, there are mosaic cobbles here and there for the paving, and things are pretty tidy, in the vein we've come to expect in lots of Europe. Stark contrast to the streets of some British cities. You also don't have to go too far to find a cafe, which are dotted here and there. There are two main botanical gardens in Ponta, Jardín Botánico Antonio Borges and Jardín Botánico José de Canto, and their content is impressive for the size. There seems to be a fondness for chickens since, in one park at least, they were everywhere. What is also impressive is the variety of plants they've been able to cultivate here, from giant bamboo to paperbark trees. The Harding Botanico Antonio Borges has the old chapel open to the public, which is a nice touch. There are also some small parks dotted around with plenty of seating, and in one case a junior art school where you can see the kids hard at work. Of course, we have to come full circle to the reason why we went on the trip in the first place. The whales. The Azores are a fantastic destination for whale watching with up to 28 species of whales and dolphins. Some of the species you might encounter are sperm whales, fin whales, the second largest species, sei whales, blue whales, pilots, minkies and humpbacks. Less commonly, you can see Bryde's whale and the Northern Bottlenose Whale, which prefer more temperate or tropical waters. All the literature available suggests that the best time to see some of the less common whale types is spring. We reckoned that April was not a bad choice from that viewpoint. Despite not seeing the holy grail blue whale, we did get to see some common dolphins, orcas, which are more occasional visitors, and a sperm whale. I have to say the experience was no less emotional because of it. Also known as killer whales, Orcinus orca are the largest members of the dolphin family. They have a striking black and white coloration with a tall dorsal fin and a rounded head. Their bodies can reach up to 9 metres in length. Orcas are not as commonly sighted in the Azores as some other whale species, but they do pass through the waters occasionally. Orcas are among the fastest cetaceans, capable of reaching speeds up to 34 miles per hour. Unfortunately, we were so taken with seeing the sperm whale and regulations about distances to maintain that we didn't manage to get any decent images or video. I make no excuses for this. Seeing the world through a phone screen or camera viewer often detracts from the experience itself, and it's easy to be sucked into that trap out of need to share with others. It really only matters that we were there to see it ourselves. All in all, it just remains for me to repeat how grateful I am to Jared for suggesting we do this. It's tempting to call it a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but a good part of me hopes it's not. I understand why some naturalists spend years of their lives following and studying these magnificent animals, and catching sight of them in their home environment conjures feelings it's hard to describe. I would recommend it to anyone who's even considering it. Once again, my heartfelt thanks to Jared for suggesting it and for being such good company throughout.